What's up everybody? I'm sure you just watched that last video of me blowing apart my idler pulley. I'm actually making the same video today, so I'm going to show you basically how to replace an idler pulley on a 2006 Subaru WRX. Now, we're all going to be kind of working backwards to an extent because I already took apart the idler pulley because it literally blew up. So I'm going to show you the tools you need. I'm going to show you how to do it, and let's get at her. So starting out here, you first have this little bracket, and what you need to do is, since I had to buy the rebuild kit, I'm going to show you using the old one. To set that down, you have this little piece right here which actually goes on that rod, and it's going to adjust the bearing up and down. Now if you're looking at this section, the concave part is going to be facing outward, and then the pulley is going to be on the back side. And this little metal piece right here actually goes in here, up and down. Now if you see how it's up and down, that's the only way it will want to fit in here. So this is a 12mm nut, and you just hand tighten that on there so that when you put it back on the car you can adjust it up and down. And you use this little 12mm up here to bring this part up and down to tighten or loosen your belt tension. And that's how you put that pulley together. And then you come over here, here's the new belt. I'll be showing you how to route that when I get down to that part. But here's the tools you're gonna need. You're gonna need a 13mm, a 12mm, and a 10mm. And to make things easier, I got an electric ratchet over here, which I will be doing another video on that later in the future. And I got a little hand ratchet here. And now if you're looking at the car, first things first, you're gonna wanna take a 10mm and take that nut out and take this nut out, and the shroud just pops out. Put that away over here so we don't lose it or break it. And then this is actually going to be sitting like that, and I have a 12 and a 13mm bolt holding that in. So you're going to take those out after you adjust the pulley all the way to the top to get the belt off. Now to get the belt off without breaking or cutting it, you're going to need to loosen this one up to get this belt loose so that we can take this belt off, because if you look down here, this belt right here is in front of it. So that's basically the disassembly part, kind of explaining how to do it. Since I am not actually taking it apart, it's already taken apart, but I'm going to show you putting it back in, kind of how you would take it back out at the same time. So let's get at it. So first things first, you want to take your 12mm ratchet after you take that shroud off, which is one 10mm bolt right there. And there's a bolt right here, kind of holds on the alternator. I'm going to go ahead and loosen that a little bit. And once that's loose, I'm going to come up here and loosen this other 12mm a little bit. See how the alternator's sagging? And then over here, there's a 12mm that you also want to loosen a little bit, so the alternator kind of falls down, and we can just slip that belt off, but it's not loose enough on this side. So we'll loosen that a little more. And then you should be able to slip that belt off a little more. Kind of hard doing it with one hand, but you guys get the gist. We're going to move this belt out of our way. And now we have access to the bottom belt. And since right here you can see all the dirt, grease, and grime in there, I am going to take a little screwdriver, a little flathead, kind of pick that out so the belt doesn't slip off and immediately mess itself up when I put the new one on. And try to clean up some of the stuff down here a little bit. And just keep doing that till the grooves are pretty much cleaned out. So if you look there now, grooves are a lot cleaner and a lot better. The AC compressor still spins, so it's not bad. I tried cleaning up down here the best I could, but obviously I can't just turn that. That's ran off the car. So what you want to do next is put this piece back on, which is the 12 and 13 millimeter, which goes right into those two holes there. And since I only got one hand, I'm going to set the camera down, bolt it in, and show you the process. So we got the 12 on bottom. And then we have the 13 on top. And then when you use an electric ratchet like this has 60 foot-pounds of torque. You do want to take a hand ratchet and just tighten the bolts a little bit without breaking them, just to make sure they're nice and snug. That one's snug. That one's snug. So now we're ready to put the new belt on, which is just this is really hard to do with one hand, but over the AC compressor and over this pulley. I'm going to set you guys down for this part. So as you can see, we got the belt down there slipped on, and the belt on the AC compressor slipped on. It was a little bit of a struggle, but not too bad. Basically, you have it kind of cockeyed on here. You want to kind of twist the AC compressor until it gets the belt on there. As you can see, the belt's still super loose because we got to tighten that tensioner up. So the tensioner down there is a 12 millimeter, so make sure when doing that, you make sure the belt actually goes on the tensioner. Now it's a lot tighter. Now the general rule of thumb is you want to be able to twist the belt backwards. So I think a little tighter. Let's try that much. I think that's pretty good. As you can see, I can twist it side to side, but that's not gonna go anywhere. And then you just do the same for this belt. Put it back on the pulley down there. And put it back on your alternator, making sure that it's on all the grooves. Again, I'm going to set you guys down for this part. For this part, I got the belt back on, everything over here. You want to tighten this up so that it raises the alternator up and puts tension back on the belt. And then just kind of check the belt. The belt's still very loose. A little tighter. And I think that should do it. Now we're going to tighten this bolt down here, which holds the alternator in, which is at 12. That's nice and tight. We're going to take this alternator bracket up here and tighten that bad boy back up. And then now we're going to make sure that the tensioner down there, the nut is nice and tight, like how we tightened up this 12 down here. gonna tighten up that 12 down there. So now once you put all your tools back, and I did actually have to use a 12mm wrench to get that nut down there. You're gonna put your shroud back on. You should just go like so. Then we'll get the 10mm bolt and the 10mm nut and put that back together and then start the car. So I actually somehow misplaced that nut from when I took it out the other day. That's not a big deal because it's not going anywhere. There's a little piece that pokes into a hole right there and the 10's all nice and secured. And all we do now is start the car, fingers crossed, everything's done right, and the belt's not too loose or too tight. So we're gonna hop in. Moment of truth. Well, guys and girls, looks like we did it. Everything was done correctly, and that was actually my first time doing an idler pulley on a Subaru. I've done many before in the shop I work at, but it's a success. So if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, drop a comment down below if this video helped you and actually taught you how to do something you didn't know how to do, which I was scared going in to mess with the belts because I'm not very good at rerouting belts. But that is super easy. Another reason Subaru is the #1 in the world. But as always, you guys, like, comment, subscribe, and peace out.